Hello, guys. There's a reason I don't wear my glasses when I'm doing these videos. There's a glare. I don't know. Lighting seems better today for some odd reason. But today was volunteer day. I'm sure you see it backwards. But yeah, I volunteer at the shelter, the animal shelter, every other Saturday. I don't do it for long periods of time just because I get kind of overwhelmed in the animal shelters, and it's one of the reasons that I have turned down a job working at the animal shelters. I just can't do it. Not emotionally, I can't do it, but I still want to try to help if I can, even if it's just a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about what do we talk about today? What spelling? Since that is probably I say one because I have so many, one of my very, very weakest points at this point. If somebody said to me, you have to be able to spell, or, you can't eat, I would starve. Yep. I find it really interesting because sometimes if I didn't have spell check, Grammarly, which is my go-to application when it comes to spell check and grammar and things like that. If I didn't have that, it would probably look like a third grader wrote most of the things that I do. The misspellings that I have are ridiculous, and I don't catch them. I can read and reread and read and reread. It will make absolutely zero difference. It just won't. And I think one of the most interesting things about spelling is I can know how to spell a word today and not spell it correctly tomorrow. Or I will misspell a word 10 different ways. And that's just me. So yeah, it's not about learning. I have the vocabulary. One of the things that was very difficult for me going through school was, and something that's difficult for me to this day, is phonics. Sometimes if I see a word that I might even know the word. And that's what's interesting is, I know a word, but if it's a long word, sometimes I can't read it correctly right away. I have to work it out. And if I can't work it out, that's where the ebooks and things like that really come in handy, because you push on the word and it'll tell you what the word means, and then you're like, okay, now I know what it is. Or it's just helpful. But I just find it very interesting. I'll sit there and stare at a word, and when I finally work it out, when I finally figure out what the word is, I'll be like, oh, well, I knew that. That's really, I don't say stupid because it's, I understand why I'm having the difficulty, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. And I would love to sit down with somebody and who understands, the clinical, biological, neurological reasons why it's like that, why my brain can't process things sometimes, or not so much that it can't, but that it literally takes 3 times longer for me sometimes to get to the same conclusion as, and that's part of my problem, and that's part of what's creating quite the barrier for me at the moment, especially when it comes to employment. There are jobs that I'll see in job boards and things like that, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like something that I could do, that I would really enjoy doing, that I would probably be good at. And it's funny to me because in 2 instances so far, in the description of the job, they will specifically say, must be good at spelling, or spelling must be at 80%. And I just find that really odd because, of all the programs and spell check and things that, I mean, I know a lot of people use it kind of as a crutch. I do, if I didn't, I would look like I was not as intelligent as I am. But and I don't apply because that's like because my self-image is already so bad that I know that if they're telling me in a job posting that you must have good written abilities, must be good at spelling, that tells me that they've either had issues with that in the past and they don't want to repeat those issues, or they don't want to have to deal with those issues. But it's a shame. I mean, it really is, because I have a lot of really good things to offer, and I can't help, the struggles that I have. I can't control it. It really is random, and when I go to spell a word, I spell it, and to me, it makes sense, and I'm spelling it the way that, in my mind, it makes sense. And oftentimes, spell check is like, what the... got me. Google is fantastic because Google knows all. Even when I'm using Grammarly or the Word document spell check, or anything, if they're like, what the hell are you trying to spell? We have no idea. Literally can go to Google, and sometimes even like Webster, the dictionary, and spell how I think it's spelled, and they'll know, So I think that's really kind of cool. It's cool because I'm not the only one. Yeah. Anyway, one of the things that I've stumbled upon in the last several months is a web page, and it literally is dyslexia.com. It's fantastic. It's called Dyslexia: The Gift, and they have a page where it lists the common characteristics of adult dyslexics, and I've read it over many times. I've listened to it, and it's amazing. Literally every single pinpoint. It's just spot on. I'll put the link down below, so if you want to read it, listen to it. It does have a listen button up at the top for those who don't want to read the whole article, but I'll probably rely on this some to kind of go over some of my problems, but today I just kind of wanted to touch on spelling. Yeah, spelling has always been a problem. Always. I mean, in school, when there were spelling tests, I might have been able to memorize spelling words, but that was very short-lived, and I could spell spell it for the test, and then the next day if you asked me to spell that word, nope. Just nope. Because memory and recall is also an issue for me. Memory has always been a bad issue. And like, I will never forget, it's about around the 3rd grade when they start teaching, really getting into spelling, and they start teaching multiplication tables, and, I cannot tell you how hard I tried and how hard I studied and how many times I tried to drill into my brain multiplication tables. I did. For as long as I can remember, I tried, and I still can't. To this day, I don't know my multiplication tables. Just kind of like the spelling, I might have been able to. I think I struggled a lot more in math. I don't want to say more, but I struggled just as bad, if not more, with math and multiplication, addition and subtraction, division. Once you get past the basic add and subtract, it's pretty much where my brain stops. And it's clear in my testing, unfortunately, a very big deficit in that area. Wouldn't say, what makes me nervous, like if I were to get a job handling money, I can count money. Sometimes it takes me longer. I can absolutely positively not calculate change. It could be the most simple calculation, and I cannot do it in my head. Talk about feeling stupid, it's just, I can't do it. I remember one time, I went to the ATM to pull out a certain amount of money, and I remember standing there counting my money at least 10 times because I kept coming up short, or it was wrong, and I couldn't figure out how I had made the mistake of not pulling out enough, because you tell the machine, give me, this bill, this bill, this bill, this bill, and the fact is I just I was like $20 off. It's hard, without a calculator, without spell check, without Grammarly, without these tools that I utilize, I really couldn't function in the real world. I depend on the calculator like it is going to save my life. It's the only way that I can budget our bills, the mortgage, how much money we have and how much money we should. It's just, if I didn't have the calculator, we would have a lot of problems. So it makes me nervous about finding a job. and telling an employer, I understand that this job requires math, or this job requires you to be good at spelling, but that is just something that I am unable to do, and I would have to have access to calculators or a spell check program to be able to adequately do the job, and I can. And that's what's frustrating, is because I'm smart enough to do a job, but those deficits make it to where if I don't have those accommodations, if I don't have the spell check, the calculators, things like that, I will be unsuccessful. So, whew. Struggle. It's a struggle. But yeah, check out this website if you happen upon my video. If you have a friend or family and you want to understand what it's like if you're an adult, and because I've known that I had learning issues for as long as I can remember. I wasn't officially diagnosed until I was about 11. But I've known my whole life basically that, something was different. And, when I read this, I think it was the first time I'd ever really understood why I was having problems in certain areas. It's almost like I hadn't made the connection that this is because of my brain and the way that it processes, and so yeah, I'll probably touch a lot on this at a future time, and we'll probably make this link available for a while in pretty much a lot of the videos that I do in the future. So y'all keep it up, pray for me. I have a job. I have that job interview on Monday, so today's Saturday. So it's gotten to the point now where I'm just so used to the job interviews now. I just go. I don't, which I guess is a good thing. I'm not stressing about it quite as much, because you either get it or you don't. I need a job desperately, but there's nothing I can do that's going to make somebody hire me other than just be me. So I'm done. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.